the main reason they win most of their games. Their solo laners have not been performing at a very high level. Dokla and Saint were both very far behind in their games last week, but Inspired was able to keep his farm up, make sure he was in a good position in the game. So Inspired in the bot lane were really the main contributors to their victory last week, and we'll see what happens again this week.
Okay, let's go ahead and hop into draft number 1 then, with Anivia, Bard, and Pantheon banned out by LYON. Meanwhile, on the Sentinels side, it's Ezreal, Orianna, and Nocturne. Now, LYON, they decided they wanted first pick in this one. Sentinels is going to play from the red side. It's the same draft we've known for over a decade now.
Absolutely. Happy to see it.
Yup, it confuses me less. It's a new change. It throws me off sometimes, but standard stuff here in this one. And speaking of standard stuff, Varus is open. Varus is first picked.
And also, Ashe Seraphine is unbanned. A lot of times, if the other team doesn't first pick Ashe Seraphine, you would just lock Ashe Seraphine in. But a couple of other things are interestingly left available. Humbok Skarner was left available. He won 3 of Sentinel's 5 wins are with Skarner. But Jarvan has actually been a permaban against him mostly. That's also been up. So they jumped for the Jarvan already, since that's typically going to be good into Varus, whether or not Varus goes top or bot.
Yep, you love to have the Cataclysm against those immobile targets, as it looks like we're going to get the full spicy hot pot combo here with the Rumble locked in. A champion that seems to always be pretty highly prioritized because of how strong he is in lane, because of how many good matchups he has, but you could see right there when he was locked in. Current record in the LCS, 7-8, so hasn't been putting up quite the numbers that I think a lot of these picks would hope for.
Absolutely, but for these two players, Dokla and Impact, this split, they're both 100% win rate on it. Dokla with 2 wins and Impact with the 1. So I'm kind of expecting it to be Varus versus Rumble in the top lane, but that Varus is going to be flexible. We'll see.
Yeah, Varus is one of those true flexes, I feel like, that we will have to see a few more hints from the rest of the draft to figure out exactly what he's doing. Ryze, not as much. We're pretty much guaranteed that this guy's going to go into the mid.
For sure, but we're also going to see how he performs now without Phase Rush. Is he going to be going for Deathfire Touch like we saw yesterday from Call Me? Or is he going to be going for the new speedy one that for some reason eludes me in name?
Storm Raider Surge.
Storm Raider Surge.
I got you.
Which isn't, it's just harder to proc than Phase Rush. It's not the 3-hit, 3-spell movement. It's you do a percentage of their max health and then you get the move speed.
And I feel like that was very much the intentionality of the change from Phase Rush to Storm Raider Surge, is wanting to have it have more of a requirement to activate the thing instead of just sling out 3 spells. It doesn't matter if it's a level 1 spell that does 60 damage. It's going to count towards it, and you just run away and disengage. So will definitely be worth keeping an eye on, because that move speed can be very powerful to keep you out of the range of things like Jarvan's Engage or potentially Yone too.
Well, if they were already experimenting a little bit with Impact's champion pool, letting him play the Smolder and Varus type champions, throwing in the Darkwing's Yone is going to be another new one. It'll be his first game of Yone in the Spring Split. He's typically seen as a control mage player who's been able to dabble in things like Ryze and Galio. So Rumble, Yone, Jarvan, very normal team comp.
Yeah.
Not the most normal team comp for Sentinels.
These players specifically, but man, that is a ton of AoE in the top side of the map for Sentinels. The Jarvan Engage, trap everybody in the Cataclysm, Fate Sealed into Equalizer, following up right after it. I feel like there's so much opportunity to have some explosive starts to team fights before we even see the last 2 picks.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get to see a lot of Engage, because a lot of times LYON games end up being a little bit more slow-paced, waiting for the late-game team fight. So appreciate the first 3 picks, and still kind of crazy that Ashe Seraphine just doesn't exist right now.
It's just through,
Yeah, every series that we've seen for the past 2 weeks, it's been like, first pick, I'm going to break up Ashe and Seraphine by taking Ashe. You have Seraphine, you'll pick it with Ezreal, we'll pick it with Lulu. They're not even banning it right now in the second phase.
No, it's a Jhin ban from LYON. Over on the other side, double powerful laning supports in the Nico and the Karma. LYON, okay, there it is. Finally, last ban of the entire draft. We will ban out at least half of that combo and take Seraphine off the table.
I understand it, but I also think Rahel's just going to be playing Lucian. I was thinking he could play Kai'Sa because he can fly in with the rest of the engage, but it's still going to be really potent champion to play on mid lane after the laning phase. They're really mixing it up, man. Rahel hasn't played Lucian this year. Like, in the 41 games they played in Lock-In, America's Cup, and Spring Split, this will be Rahel's first Lucian game. So, okay.
alongside the Darkwing's Yone that, just like you already mentioned, is not really a tested or known factor.
Some dark tech here.
Yeah, Sentinels are getting creative with it. Nautilus locked in, though, for LYON, so that'll be a little bit of extra engage for them. I am glad to see them picking this here. I know that Enchanters are the current hotness, but I feel like the LYON comp is really wanting for engage right now with their first 3 picks. Yeah, Varus has some picks. Xin Zhao and Ryze are not really going to be your big engage tools, so Nautilus getting locked in there makes a lot of sense to me. But now, reveal yourself. Is it bot lane Varus or is it top lane Varus? Okay, Berserker will be piloting that one, and Dokla is going to bring Cassante into the top lane.
And I think with the Lucian locked in, they were more incentivized to play the Varus so they'd have a strong bot lane, and now they'll just handshake the top lane matchup. Dokla should get pushed in by Impact, and Impact should be able to get a lead, but it's just a top lane tank. And then the Braum to go in right up against the Nautilus, so a little bit of a, I think, who he thinks he's set a trap card. Nautilus is a pick that Isles loves playing. The most powerful enchanters are banned, so he's safe picking the Nautilus, and Braum is a counter to Nautilus.
Yeah, and Braum also loves hanging out with Lucian. How easy it is to proc the concussive blows after landing a Winter's Bite. This is one of those tried and true Lucian combinations. Looking at what he might be able to block with it, of course, Varus piercing arrow is always going to be high value if you can stop those from colliding with targets that generally are going to be squishier. It's not like you have a tank in the top lane. You've got the Rumble, right? So there's going to be plenty of targets for Berserker to try to find those big hits on. So we'll see how much value, who he can get out of the Unbreakable here on this Braum. If Sentinels can finally get themselves another series win after having all of these close series like you've been talking about. Our only team, I believe, that every single series has gone 3 so far.
For sure. They're maximizing stage practice. They're playing as many games as possible. And seemingly playing as many champions as possible, too. On paper, it doesn't seem crazy that they're playing Yone, Lucian, Braum, but for this year, based on what the current meta is and what they've been playing, it's a very strange draft actually from Sentinels.
It catches you off guard a little bit. There's nothing about it, just an immediate exclamation point that says, whoa, they're just completely cooking up something crazy here. But I do look forward to seeing exactly what they can do with it. They are, of course, once again up against Inspired here on the Xin Zhao, one of these picks that we've seen him play so many times before, has so much ability to affect the game very early.
He's so good with Xin, and sometimes in the games that he's played poorly this split, he actually said that he's overcomplicated it a little bit. But the more important thing is that Emily has claimed this as her match of the week.
Okay.
Yeah. This started last week, actually, when I was saying that Sentinels Team Liquid was our match of the week. And then Emily on the lounge was very clear saying, no, this was my match of the week. So I think
she owns this one.
Going forward now, Emily needs to tell us what her match of the week is, and we're going to show you. So look forward to it, because it's Emily's match of the week.
This is the Emily Rand match of the week. This is the one to make sure you're tuned in for, as both of our junglers are going to start out at their respective red buffs. We'll see them clearing towards opposite sides of the map. I do hope that because bottom lane is Braum and Nautilus versus a couple enchanters, we get to see more action down there than we otherwise might.
I hope so. At the very least, I think we can see more jungle support fighting, but Isles and Berserker hit level 2 and go right in onto Huhi.
Yeah, nice dredge line there from Isles. Chunks Huhi down. They'll force out, the heal from the Braum and chunk him down to 200.
Yeah, hit level 2 though. Gonna chunk on those health potions. Maybe even, it would be crazy for him to take an early recall this early on in the lane, but it should bounce back against them as Hambach goes for the invade. There's a ward, so we're going to see something.
Yep, Hambach, of course, Sentinels had their own ward there that saw that the blue is still alive. But now, down in the bottom lane, it's Isles going in yet again. Dredge line finds Rahel this time. And Inspired knows Hambach is here. They've got that vision that you already mentioned that's inside the blue buff brush. So Hambach's just got to get out. There's not really a whole lot for him to do there. Ooh, nice dredge line again. That's 3 for 3 from Isles here on the Nautilus. Does take a turret shot for his trouble that time, so the trade not going to go as well. But I'm liking what I'm seeing on this so far as Hambach wants to seal away the wolf camp there from Inspired. Does get the large wolf, but both the tiny ones going over to Inspired as Rahel's going to get dove underneath the tier 1 turret down near the bottom lane. Isles ends up trading 1 for 1 on it, but the first blood goes over to Berserker.
What a wild opening to this game. It's going to be beneficial for LYON for now with the first blood bonus, but it's going to take a while for Berserker to actually get back to base, so he might lose some minions, as Saint is just ghosting on mid.
Yeah, Saint pops his ghost. Chunks Darkwing's down to about 150 HP. No way to really threaten lethal here, considering your mana is almost entirely spent. Hambach was still hanging around, but decides this shouldn't turn into anything else, so he's going to go into the bot side river for the crab.
And Hambach is extremely aggressive on this Jarvan, but I want to call attention to the fact that Inspired had warded his own blue. So I think that's an exceptional read, thinking, okay, if he's going to do cheese, it's going to be this cheese. Responds to it immediately. And then Hambach, since he'd already made the invade in, kind of doubled down and just made it a funny game. So now he's in more of an okay spot for that failed invade, since his camps, he bought enough time that his top camps are actually already respawning again. So it's not like he's lost without camps. So he never cleared these camps. It just doesn't matter because he can clear his top side again.
Yeah, you just kind of do a delayed full clear.
Yeah.
1.5 clears. As Dokla is exactly where you would expect him to be early on in this matchup. He's the one who's stuck underneath the turret, like you mentioned before. It's up to Impact to try to build himself as much of an early lead as he can, considering we know that once K'Sante gets Kaenic Rookern, things become a lot more difficult.
Definitely. And just to be clear about the jungle point, Hambach is still behind with his failed invade, but it could have gone a lot worse if he didn't find a way to make the game a little bit funny and get back to full clearing. The CS in that top lane is still pretty even, so even if Dokla's getting pushed in, as long as Impact's not doing anything with that pressure, Dokla's doing a good job just collecting under turret.
Exactly. Even if your health bar and mana bar are looking pretty rough, even if you're stuck underneath the turret, as long as you're getting those last hits, you're doing your job in the early laning phase against the Rumble. Impact ready to crash another wave into the tier 1 now, as Dokla, he has not taken his first recall yet, walking the line between getting a good first buy and making sure you don't put yourself in too rough of a spot. He will be able to clear all these out. And the left side of your screen right now just shows that both these guys have been having a pretty rough time in their lanes so far this split, which then means both of them have the opportunity to really lock in and step up and be kind of the X factor in this head-to-head.
Absolutely, and it's Impact who's in the winning match at this time, so hopefully he can juice that gold difference at 14 stat up a little bit in this Rumble game with already a 300 gold advantage.
He steps up to clear the control board there in the tri-brush. Isles able to hurt him a little bit in the process, but really not a whole ton. Is still that nice little, about 300 gold lead for Berserker down in the bottom lane. You can see about a similar lead built for Impact up in top side like we've been talking about. But everywhere else, staying nearly dead even, as Inspired will path down into this bottom river area here. Berserker, nice sidestep away from the Winter's Bite there, as he and Isles are going to continue to posture aggressively. Unbreakable used there by Huhi to stop the piercing arrow, but this is still kind of risky to try to go from a dive here. You don't really have the information that you need on where everyone else might be. They do have a ward up there by the enemy chicken camp. Now Dokla's gone all out. Impact's got to try to get all the way away. Hambach shows up just in case Dokla wants to really force the issue here. Impact trying to bait him in a little bit, but Dokla's got to be aware that something funny is going on here. Third and Topho strike ready.
Surely just buying time. With the vision that they had in the chicken camp, as well as their entire team taking the Cloud Drake right now with Rise and Zindow, Dokla did an exceptional job just buying time for his team right there.
Yeah, and there's what I'm talking about. That's what the whole point of bringing up the stats, bringing up the struggles of the performances of these two so far. Everything that you land right there, making space, creating a little bit of pressure, a little bit of room to breathe for the rest of their team. Exactly what we need to see out of both these guys, as Huhi and Rahel, again, just the receiving end of these very snappy trades from the dredge lines from Isles. And I feel like we're seeing almost all of these hit. He's shot out 7 or 8 of them so far, and they're all just landing as Impact continues his chase after Dokla here. About to overheat, though, so got to be a little bit mindful of it. We'll get his empowered Flame Spitter, just trying to keep the pressure onto Dokla as Hambach is again looking to invade Inspired's jungle.
Hambach has been spending a lot of time top here, looking to maybe secure a kill. They don't have the damage right now.
Yeah, he didn't hit him with the damage from the EQ, but it is still enough. The Cataclysm traps Dokla. He can't get himself away, and Hambach and Impact find the second kill of the game for Sentinels.
Really nice. This is one of the reasons I would be inclined to ban this guy's Jarvan if I'm playing against it, because that's just a silly look. The Equalizer didn't even land. He ults through the back of the turret. Then Impact does flash in and get the kill. So, yeah, totally safe gank. They knew Inspired was on the bot side of the map. They had a lot of time. Pulls it off. He's down a little bit in CS, but he's able to pull off this gank. He just spent so much time up here dodging around this vision. Look, so he first knows there's a ward here, so he loops all the way around here, waits for his EQ cooldown, and then jumps in afterwards. Dokla thinks he's completely safe. He's not in the bush, he's not in the river. No, actually, he looped all the way around.
Oh my god.
Visible frustration.
That's my reaction
from Dokla
too
there.
if I have that ward.
Yeah, well, now Dokla's going all out, trying to get something back here on the Impact. Chases him back underneath the tier 1 turret. But honestly, it's not a whole lot. The Equalizer's not ready to clear the wave, though, so Impact is trying to play respectfully enough to not give over the kill. Forced all the way away from the tier 1 turret. And he has to know that Inspired and Saint are somewhere nearby, that LYON is looking to make something happen. So that is a lot of minions being eaten up by the turret.
And Inspire's trying not to get sucked into Hanbok's funny business. He's not matching him. He's just taking objectives. But look at the vision that they've actually set up. They had 3 wards in the bottom jungle right here for Hanbok to think about this dive. But there was no poke done to Berserker or Isle, so Hanbok decides not to go for this one.
Yeah, that feels like it would be so risky between all the Nautilus CC plus Varus Chains of Corruption. I feel like you're just hopping straight on the Inting wagon if you go for that one at this point in time. But checking back here in mid lane as Dark Wings tries to play aggressively with the Soul Unbound into Saint. Does have the Berserker's Greaves and Vamp Scepter already completed, so generally that's where Yone starts to feel pretty comfortable, I feel like, in the lane. It doesn't take a whole lot to get him there, but level 1 boots for Saint does mean he will have to be that much more respectful of Dark Wings having the move speed advantage until he catches up in that department. 2 minutes until our next dragon spawns. Remember that all 3 grubs and the first Drake both went to Inspired and to LYON, so they're controlling the neutrals very well so far. But it looks like the bot side river might be our next point of contention. Huhi gets jumped on by Inspired. Hanbok still waiting around over the wall. Inspired does not want to full send onto a Braum.
But they do want to control river, which they're able to do. Going to have inside path to this crab, as well as being able to push mid and bot lane. Quick check-in on these mid lane items, though. Deathfire Touch did end up being the rune choice for Saint. I think that's going to be fairly common. A little more damage, but a little less mobility, so that's why all these Rises are taking Ghost, so they can still have that in-fight mobility when they need it. And then yesterday when we saw Quid play Yone, he picked the Gluttonous Greaves. This time Darkwing's opting for the Berserker Greaves. So we'll see how that works, how that plays out.
Yep, higher DPS, less sustain, right?
Yeah.
Both of them kind of going with the do more damage, but things are riskier option for their respective characters. So
which is good.
Gold overall, still very, very close between our 2 squads. Checking in on that bottom side river vision, what you were talking about, the goal for LYON was to make sure that they establish control over that area, and they've got a nice triangle of wards there as Dokla has a little bit of help coming in now. Saint arrives into the top side as Impact drops the Equalizer to create a little bit more space, but the Flash Rune Prison follows. And LYON will continue chasing after this Rumble. They need a little bit more damage. Impact gets away underneath the tier 1 for now, but Saint picks him off with a max range overload.
Impact does a good job to buy that much time for a flashless Rumble, making it all the way back to the turret, and then having Saint burn Flash and Ghost has got to feel somewhat effective. His TP's up as well, so as soon as he respawns, he should be able to cover that lane. So Dark Wings gets a free push in mid lane. Saint gave up a lot for that roam. Ends up getting the kill, which will be nice for him, but overall the gold is pretty even since Darkwing's just got a free wave.
And it looks like the consequence of all that being invested into the top side is now it is Sentinel's turn to have the momentum here in the bottom side river. They're able to step in, they take control, start clearing out some of the vision. But Berserker and Inspired have also both made their ways over here. The summoner spells on Saint are going to be very important. Not having either the Flash or the Ghost makes this a scarier prospect for a fight.
Interesting, too, because Dokla technically has TP advantage, but he'd be giving up a lot since he's already ran all the way back to top lane. So LYON could create a 5v4 if they decide to fight, but looking at where Inspired is on the minimap, they're just going to give this one up because it would cost them too much tempo.
And I think for Dokla as well, yeah, you would be able to join the fight if you wanted to, but your Kanik, Rooker, and Cassante, you feel really strong against Rumble. Nobody else on the enemy team is AP, so I feel like you could very easily teleport in and not have a great time.
Instantly die against
those items.
Braum.
Yeah, you just immediately get slammed. But Isles and Berserker, they're once again looking for the 2v2, as Huhi can at least jump over to Behel for safety, but that nice last piercing arrow there, max range, tags Huhi, brings him down to about 25%, so much more difficult for Sentinels to try to go for any aggressive looks with the Braum that low. However, Hanbok just loves the enemy jungle. He's in there once more. Huhi with the nice Winter's Bite over the wall. He's stuck around long enough to guarantee that he can contribute with the Q, and it's enough to make sure that Sentinels get the kill.
These angles are pretty sick that they're seeing. You know, just going to EQ this guy over the wall. It'll be a slow kill. Braum, just give me 1 Q, and then we probably have lethal on him. And they actually pull it off to get the kill. Second death of the game onto Isles.
Isles out of the picture there on that Nautilus for a little bit. Darkwing still trying to play very aggressively on this unit. Goes for the early tier 3 boots before completing the Blade of the Ruined King all the way, but that item is going to be coming online very soon as well. A couple minutes ago, Saint was your MasterCard Power Spike recipient, completing his Rod of Ages. That one's going to be at 10 stacks, right around 21 minutes into the game. And Huhi is now up to 630 games played, second all time in the LCS, taking that spot from Wild Turtle.
Dude, that's just incredible, actually. His first days on CLG mid lane
as a mid laner.
2016.
Yeah. This guy's been in the league for quite a while as Saint makes his way back up into the top lane, but immediately Sentinels are ready to respond this time. Equalizer into the Fate Seal combo is exactly the deadly CC we were talking about in the draft. Sentinel's going to look for a little bit more on the back end of things, but can't quite find anything else. Still nicely done. They recognize LYON, want to run that play back, and they're ready with the answer.
I'm going to buy some Sentinel stock right now. They're looking good in this game. Right place, right time, as I may cast a cursor, but Hambach has found Berserker.
No, you may have cast or blessed them. Berserker gets caught out by the Jarvan, does survive with about 300 HP, and Hambach has to flash over the wall. Meanwhile, Dokla versus Huhi up here on the top side of the river at the same time. Huhi throws up Unbreakable, continues making a little bit more space for himself. That looked like it could have gone either way in a way more violent way than it did.
Yeah, everybody just decides to calm down and back away. Berserker doesn't burn flash, Huhi doesn't burn flash, the hook didn't land from Isles. So everybody just backs away into their own lanes. But the prio is in the favor of Sentinels now. Lucian's pushing in, Rumble got a deep push temporarily. Yone also now locked in with this Kanik, Rooker, and Cassante is going to have his way with Dokla for a little bit since Dokla's spec'd all MR.
Yeah, and that Blade of the Ruined King that I mentioned earlier is fully complete. So the only valuable stat that Kanik, Rooker is giving you against the Yone really is the health. I mean, yes, Yone's passive does give him some small split of magic damage, but he's still primarily physical. But now the Blade of the Ruined King is just going to be eating that one stat that actually matters against him. So very, very tough matchup. Not wanting to deal with that one probably for a whole lot longer. At least gets the plated steel caps now. Inspired is going to take the opportunity, though, to start up the Rift Herald, which only spawned 10 seconds ago. Huhi, though, in the area means that Inspired has to think twice about that one. You can see Hambach also once more looking towards this red buff jungle of Inspired, trying to move in, steal things away, catch LYON off guard.
And an objective focus from Inspired. He's in a good spot in this game. 133 CS to the 108 onto Hambach. But Sentinels bring the whole squad here, and Impact could support with teleport off this base. So Inspired kind of has to back away.
Yeah, LYON are going to lose control over the top side river. Still not even 1,000 gold separating the teams so far. 1-to-1 on the Drakes. Nobody's really running away with anything. Highest individual gold lead in this one is Darkwings at just about 500 or so over Saint on the rise. But both still doing just fine. Saint's going to equalize that a little bit here, picking up the third plate in the bottom lane. The extra power of the Void Grubs contributing to making that a little bit easier for him. As Dokla once more just on the back foot from Darkwing here. Q3 finds the target. Dokla's...
I mean,
these trades are not fun.
I'm surprised they haven't found a way out of this lane. Like, whether or not Dokla or Saint could find a time to reset and run out in the top side and kind of 2v1 him out of the lane so that they can reset the wave, because Darkwings is just easily just chipping away at this turret the entire time. Finally, Inspired kind of comes up, but the gank look just isn't there with how low Dokla is.
Yeah, it's not a fun time for the Cassante. And a reminder, while we don't have anybody going for any major fights right now, the LCS Spring Finals will be taking place in Mullet Arena at Arizona State University from June 13 to 14. Tickets are available. Hope to see y'all there. Road shows are always a big fun part of anything LCS. But what's not fun, if you're on the LYON side, is watching that turret die up there in the top lane as Dokla is forced away once more. That is first turret over the Sentinels. They're up almost 2,000 gold as a team.
Yeah, and the timing's really good right now. At the same time, Dokla just ran out top lane. So the Yone, I was expecting him to take a base so he could teleport down, but right now Hambach already started the Drake. Buying some time though, Darkwings is going to be able to complete his base, buy an item, and threaten with TP. Yeah,
Sentinels are just going to take this one nice and slow, and now that they've got everybody heading back out onto the Rift, they will not only get the first turret up in the top lane, they will get their second Drake right after on the other side of the map. I am liking Sentinels macro.
And I'm trying to get inside the mind of Inspired right now. He always has a way that he feels like they need to play the game to get victory. Last week, he was in another difficult situation. He started carrying with Xin. Now they got to pick.
Yeah, who he's going to be the target. The Braum very tanky, but it looks like not tanky enough. Dokla goes all out, and it's a nice catch there, started by the LYON top laner.
Yeah, Inspired, not involved whatsoever. So he says, good job, top bot support. Get that kill and get a little bit of mid-prio, so now we can start this objective. LYON has to play this game very carefully. I don't feel like they have more damage. They have decent engage, but they don't have necessarily a better team fight either, so they have to play very cleanly, I think, to get a win from this.
Inspired seems to really want to be able to force this 5v4 into more priority over the top side river, but down to the bottom lane. Impact going after Saint. Forces the Ghost out of the Rise, but Flash still available. Impact still having his own Flash alongside the Equalizer. Drops it from a long way away, but unfortunately just not quite at the right angle to keep Saint on top of it for long enough, so the Rise can still escape. But both of our representatives from their respective teams are hurting down here in the bottom lane.
They really are. That was a very interesting duel from Impact right there. Almost Overheat smacked him to death without actually having his ultimate laid down in the first place, then tried for the snipe after the fact. Has Huhi babysitting him as he can shove that wave in, so ends up kind of wasting his ultimate since Saint was going to have to reset anyway when chasing that kill.
I still think it's crazy that we might see the Rift Herald just fall over and die when Baron spawns in this game. I feel like that's a very rare occurrence. The objective almost always gets taken because it's got a lot of value, but there just hasn't been the ability for either one of the teams to control enough of the space for long enough to take it safely.
True. And I'm very impressed with Darkwings' Yone so far. Yone can get really crazy in team fights. When you're learning a champion, the first thing you learn is laning phase. The team fighting and how to actually win from that game state is the harder part. So I want to see how they execute in these team fights. Since they have a lot of dive, should be very good at getting on top of Rise and Varus, but we'll have to see them execute.
So speaking of that Rise, we are about to hit a very big power spike for Saint. He's got his Seraph's Embrace fully completed, fully evolved, so you get the shield from that one. Rod of Ages, one more stack to go, and he's maxed out on that one. So this could be a really big opportunity for LYON to find a chance to fight. But they're going after the Rift Herald here. 10 seconds left until it despawns. Sentinels hanging around. Herald down to 5,000. Nope, it's just going to drop. LYON weren't able to take it fast enough. So even though they got it low, close doesn't count.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Every game it will despawn at 1955.
Yep.
So
it has to leave, no matter what.
Inspired, man.
It's
check your watch.
Miscalculated. A little bit of miscalculation, and they get nothing for their efforts. Meanwhile, down here in the bottom lane, again, it's Darkwings finding his way into this 1v1 against the Cassante time and time again. He has the Immortal Shield Bow completed now too, which makes him feel even better against dealing with a champion that's mostly just going to be base damages like the Cassante is. Dokla does hit him with a third in Topo Strike, but Dokla's got to be careful because it's not just Darkwings you're dealing with down here. Sentinels is making sure that if LYON tries to punish, they will be in for a rude surprise.
Yeah, and they're just going to try and set up for this third Drake and try and get on Soul Point. It seems like LYON is really okay with leaving Dokla in the Yone matchup so that Saint can be in the Rise matchup. But for the most part, they're just trading minions. I don't feel like Saint's getting meaningful damage onto these turrets.
Darkwings just, again, trying to hit Dokla as often as possible. Keep the pressure on this Cassante. He does at least have the Warden's Mail now, so you've got some armor, you've got some defensibility against what Yone is going to try to do. But this Tier 1 turret is not long for the world, not when Huhi and Hambach are both hanging around nearby. So Darkwings can cut that one down, but at the same time, Saint's doing the same over in the top lane. Goes after Impact with a Realm Warp, wants the solo kill, but he can't quite find it. Impact gets away in time to barely survive with 100 HP. And now Saint's the one under pressure. A TP to potentially come in. Darkwings flying his way up to the top side of the map right now. Saint, I don't think he's getting away from this one. The Seraph Shield is going to give him a lot of extra health. Darkwings commits the Fate Seal, but it doesn't work. Darkwings is the one forced to flash away, and Saint fights his way out.
Saint really showing up here. Right as I said, he wasn't getting that much done against the Rumble. He forces the flash, he Realm Warps, he finished off the turret, he gets him out, then he gets the TP and flash from Darkwings. So the power spike you talked about with 10 stack Rod of Ages for the extra level, plus the Seraph Shield really came in clutch there as Saint flexed his power.
Yeah, you could see the moment when the shield activates and Darkwings' movements just get a little less aggressive. It's like, whoa, hold on, I didn't realize that was going to be the deal that we're making here. But there is 5 seconds until that soul point Drake you're talking about.
And now Saint has no flash. So maybe this makes it more fightable for Sentinels, but there's no flash, no ult onto their Yone. Makes it pretty risky to contest. Impact looking for an ult flank.
Yeah, Lion's got total control over the bot side river right now. Impact dodges a dredge line. Dokla making space on the left side of the fight with the Dragon, already down to about 3,000 HP. Exhaust on Dokla, not a whole lot of value out of that one there. Dragon resets. Equalizer finds 5. Hambak goes in, but he's immediately killed. Inspired picks it up, and now Impact's gonna die over the wall. He uses his stasis, but it doesn't buy enough time. It's a double kill for Inspired, and right when they need it, Lion clutches a 5v5.
Lion team fighting coming up clutch once again. That damage onto Hambak was immense. Saint is really pumping damage right now. I'd love to see the damage dealt in that last team fight if we could somehow, because he just evaporated, and then they finished off Impact as well.
That was just blink and you miss it, Jarvan dies.
It really was. Look at this. So I think, you think that the Equalizer plus Jarvan ult on this many people is going to be effective? As the fight is a little bit slow, Dragon resets, they think, okay, now we can go in, and he's gone.
Yep.
Just like that. Xin doesn't take that much damage. Ryze takes the majority of his health bar, but it ends up not mattering because they win the fight.
And then Impact also, that is an arm guard stasis. That is not a Zhonya's hourglass stasis. So he now doesn't have that available for the next fight. If they get dragged into another scrap before he can complete the item, that could also be far more costly than it might initially appear. Lion has now retaken the gold lead. Remember, Sentinels was just about... Okay, I believe that Impact was the one. With the 5-man equalizer, you're going to top the charts in that one. But now Darkwings could be in some danger. Impact and the rest of Sentinels got to figure out how they're going to play this one as Inspired continues putting the pressure on, threatening to go further forward. Who he your target here at the start. The Unbreakable keeps him alive. But considering he's knocked so low, Sentinels have to back off yet again. And I feel like the tone has seriously shifted now. Lion feel much more confident. They are posturing more aggressively, looking to make more moves.
This just happens when they have such a veteran shot caller and Inspired, and they're able to execute in these team fights consistently. They can find just an even early game, and then they'll win the team fights and find a way to take control of the game. Because that last fight, yeah, it was Saint, 2,900 damage, Berserker, 2,400 damage, but Dark Rings were hell, just couldn't get involved. So that was the biggest thing. It doesn't matter how good your Equalizer combo is if your mid laner 80 carrier out of the fight. So that's the gold swing we see off the back of that last fight.
25 minutes in, and our Dragons are tied at 2-2. Gold lead, still just about 1,500 here for Lion. But with 25 minutes being the time, it means Baron is starting to become that much more inevitable. That is what we're going to be playing for. Tier 1 turret here could be the target, but Sentinels honestly can't even get the wave far up enough for Lucian to shoot the crust off of the Tier 1 turret and try to get this one bursted down. So Sentinels still not able to find that. Still only 2 turrets to 2 between both sides, as the side lane Tier 1s are the mirrored casualties there for the structures.
Yep, and Saint still in that side lane against Impact, but Impact with no MR will be getting really pushed around by Saint as he continues to build up towards that actualizer. And yeah, it's just a lonely little Lucian trying to kill that wave. It's not going to happen.
Nope. Lucian loves to play around using the culling in the mid lane, try to put a lot of pressure on after the laning phase is over, but he doesn't quite so much like to be on the receiving end of that one. And what you're talking about with Impact, this is kind of just the reverse of what Dokeless had to deal with the entire game, right? It's like, okay, well, Cassante had to deal with the matchup from hell for the last 10 minutes. Now it's Rumble's turn as this Rise is just becoming more and more and more of a problem. Still 2 minutes to go until we get our next Dragon spawn. Sentinels grouped up around the top side of the river right now with the exception of Impact, who's still keeping things held down in the bottom lane, but Darkwing's going to be your target here. Inspired goes in with Isles right behind him. They want to try to get some burst down, but it's only who he's still going to damage so far. He gets away with the Unbreakable, stays alive. Impact has arrived into the fight, and Dokla's getting cooked. He flashes out, stays alive himself. Hambak is taken low, but it's who he's taken down. Snap back from Dark Wings, wants to reset his position. Inspired with a nice win, becomes Lightning, continues the chase. Rahel fires back, but it's only enough to ward them away for a moment as the Rune Prison from Saint catches Rahel. And Sentinels are falling apart in the bigger fights.
Yeah, these team fights just aren't close. It doesn't feel like the Yone can find Impact. Darkwing's still alive on the back end of this fight, but he's not really doing anything. It's crazy that the gold lead between Rise and Yone is basically non-existent because this guy is huge, and Darkwings isn't able to make much happen as I lose my clear screen button as the Baron's going down.
Well, Impact, Darkwings, and Hambach are trying to stop this Baron from being secured by LYON. Baron down to 7,000 HP. However, the LYON health bars do appear a little compromised. Dokla lower than half. Everybody else has taken at least a chunk, so Sentinels will complete their mission in avoiding the disaster situation of LYON getting the Baron after the fight. But the fight still went LYON's way.
It really did, and at this stage, when they can engage on Darkwings, Inspired loves doing stuff like this because he says, okay, now we can't get flanked by Yone. So if I'm protecting my Varus from the Yone, Berserker's going to free hit and Saint's going to be pretty safe so that the front line can just go forward. Darkwings can't get involved in this fight, and it just allows Berserker and Saint to free hit. Look at the health bars on the Rise and the Varus. They're completely full this entire time. So when LYON's carries can hit, they're going to be effective.
And I feel like this is deja vu. You were saying this exact same thing about the previous fight. But Sentinels, man, we know, even when they fall behind,
absolutely,
they do not give up. Huhi, Balboa, and the rest of the Sentinels boys, if they don't hear a bell, they're going to keep fighting. They're 3,000 gold behind right now, but they've already won a couple of different games in these past few weeks from far greater deficits.
And even when it looks grim, Dione can't do anything. Soul Point, they're still trying to figure out ways to win, make the adaptations mid-game. They traded a little bit of Baron Vision for that Drake, and they're trying to get some side lane push. It doesn't look good. They've lost these last team fights, but Huhi, he knows it's a one-fight game. They win one fight, they get Baron, totally different story.
Enemy team overcommits, trying to kill a Braum or something. You get your big Wombo combo. I still want to go back to the draft because Equalizer, Cataclysm, and Fate Sealed are all such powerful AoE ultimates that if your opponents give you a window where you can hit 4 or 5 people with those, you will just win the fight. I don't care if you're 3,000 gold behind. You're just going to win. Yep. But it involves what you've been talking about. You've got to make it so Darkwings and Rahel can do their damage.
Yep, Darkwings has his Infinity Edge now. Saint has, I'd say, Rise's Infinity Edge with the Actualizer.
Yep.
So cancels out.
Yep,
Still
they're both
stronger.
really strong. Infinity Edge also completed for Rahel here on the Lucian and has Last Whisper building towards the 4th fully completed item over on the other side. Berserker does have quite a lot of power in those piercing arrows, though.
He really does. Cutting through shields as well with his Serpent's Fang. LYON taking full control of this Baron and actually deciding to start it up with the Rise, who can kill it pretty fast, even if Varus isn't the fastest Baron killer.
Okay, let's see what Sentinels want to commit to this. Impact is down in the bottom side of the map, but he does have his teleport to join. Baron at about half HP. Sentinels slowly moving up. The teleport going to be used here from Impact, who he walks up, face checks the barrage, gets juggled around as he tries to repeat, and the Braum is going to get picked off before the fight even starts. But Inspired is bursted down to 20% HP. He stays alive thanks to the ulti, and Darkwings and Hambach look for their chance to continue getting involved in the fight. Rahel still off on the right side, so LYON get the one pick, but they can't get anything more.
Yeah, they're going for more.
Never mind, I'm made into a liar. Isles goes in here with a dredge line, finds Impact. Inspired still low, but he's got Guardian Angel. Saint kills off Impact. Hambach, Rahel, and Darkwing scrambling here in a 3v5 as Dokla continues looking forward. Third and Tofo strike, not going to hit the target. Nice sidestep there with the Soul Unbound from Darkwings. Sentinels, they'll lose another man.
Yeah, LYON keep landing jabs, jab after jab after jab. Eventually, you'd think it will push Sentinels out of the game because first jab is to get the Rumble TP, then they get the Huhi kill, then they get the Impact kill, and it's just accumulating into a bigger and bigger lead. Now, watching one more time, Isles just sees the opportunity, knowing it is a temporary 5v4. Impact teleports in, so they really have to make this kind of a fast fight. The backside of this fight got really interesting. Burning Inspired's ultimate, but he can kind of just back away. And then as the fight extended, I was a little bit surprised. I believe, yeah, Inspired has his Guardian Angel already, so Hambach doesn't want to suicide just to proc that Guardian Angel. Instead, it's alt Saint, but that's when he realizes he's right next to a Rise and he has no damage, so he's got to flash out.
And then the Rise shield, again, man, just the Seraph's Embrace popping up 1,000 extra HP once you feel like you get this guy low. It just doesn't feel like there's an answer for Saint, and the answers become even more scarce when the next item is a Seeker's Arm Guard still ready to be actively used. Sentinels now down 3,500 gold, less than 2 minutes until LYON can fight for what will be an Earth Soul if they can secure the next Drake. Darkwings trying to take up position there in that bottom lane, play a little bit of split push for now. But when Dokla comes to answer him, Dokla's got armor now, so it's not as scary as it was earlier.
And also, LYON playing on some Elixir power spikes right now, so you can see the Elixir of Iron sitting in Inspired's inventory. He's probably going to pop that one right before the next team fight. Saint popped his blue elixir before that fight as well, the elixir of sorcery. So they're trying to enhance their power spikes in these team fights that they feel like are game deciding.
I like it. I respect going for it when you know that if you can win the next fight, you're going to win the whole game. Dokla is once more on the losing end of a trade against Darkwings on the Yone, but he'll just continue buying time, making sure that they're not losing too much here in the side lane. Look at all the Lion vision in the top side river around the Baron. There's just so much. You've got the Scuttle Crab, the Scryer's Trinket, the Control Ward, another Control Ward on mid lane Brush, ramp ward.
6.
There's a lot of vision here for Lion.
They're not going to be surprised by Hanbok's flank, that's for sure.
Nope. They are ready for those shenanigans. But the problem is, the next fight is going to be down here in the bot side river, as opposed to up there near the Baron pit.
Sentinels ain't sneaking that Baron, though.
Nope, they are not going to get the Baron in the meantime. But we'll see if they can find their way through fog to set up any kind of a trap. Saint will run into Hanbok there in the jungle, tries to go in with a Fate Shield from Darkwings, but no, Hanbok is already down. It's a disaster before it begins here for Sentinels, who have already lost their jungler, and now he's getting caught too, trying to protect the exit of the remaining players on Sentinels. Darkwings still trying to escape here with a TP, will manage to just barely do so, but now Sentinels are completely out of position. They're down in a 4v5, and the one they lost is the jungler.
Yeah, they're going to try and just start the Baron to maybe delay the soul or maybe get a Baron in trade, but I feel like Lion's going to try and stop them. Are they actually going to pull off of the Drake? They are, so Sentinels delays the soul temporarily. Inspired's going to finish it.
Okay, Inspired goes back towards the Mountain Drake. Dokla, Isles, and Berserker in position to interfere with his Baron take. Impact's going to lose about half HP there. Saint finally rotates over towards the fight as Impact further disengages with the Blast Cone. Isles still looking for an engage.
Yeah, it's still 4v4. Hanbok is still in base.
Ooh, nice piercing arrow there on the Darkwings to knock him below half HP, and now he isolated from the rest of the team, becomes the main target. It's often difficult to kill Braum, but not when you have that much firepower. Rahel, Darkwings, and Impact all trying to get away, but their exit plan is completely flawed. There's no way home except for Impact, who again has to use his teleport. That is both solo lane teleports used by Sentinels in the last 60 seconds just to not die. That is so much extra pressure off the map, and Lion are not only going to secure the Mountain Soul, they're going to secure the Baron from this extended sequence. They're going to be 8,000 gold ahead.
And Saint is Thanos in this game. He is just doing so much damage on the rise. 2,500 damage so far from his Deathfire Touch as an update, but he's probably done like 30 to 40,000 damage in the game so far in these 35 minutes. He just completely actualized Hanbok in that bot lane fight before the Drake.
Yeah.
Just one-tapped the Jarvan.
Hanbok, you know what he wanted to do, but he didn't want the Rise to be the one person that finds him in that brush, in the red buff jungle. 9,500 gold lead now for Lion. They've got their Red Bull Baron power play for the next 2.5 minutes. There's no neutrals to fight over for the next 5 minutes. They can do whatever they want on this map.
Yeah, and the Mountain Soul is completed, so everyone has that overshield in case the Jarvan Rumble finds some type of wombo combo. At that point, with the Mountain Soul plus the Locket Shield from the Nautilus, and even a Knight's Vow, who, you know, if you're a bro and you want to build Berserker's Trust, put it on him. If you want to have the best Knight's Vow, I think put it on Saint, because he's going to heal you more because he's doing more damage.
Yep.
But it's just so hard for Sentinels to play this one. Who he didn't hear no bell, but I feel like I did.
Yeah, there's something ringing out there. I'm starting to lose the faith here for the Sentinel side in this first game, as Lion is going to make the full push here in the bottom side. Total damage, it is 30,000 for Saint on the rise, top in the charts. Realmore brings everybody in. They try to flash engage into Impact, who does get caught in the Rune Prison, and they burst him down. 5v4 for the next 60 seconds. Lion are going for the game ender here as Sentinels try to hoof it all the way back to their base, and Lion is happy to just meet them at the walls. The minions are already crashing into the Nexus turrets. Inspired's wrapping around from the left. Sentinels just have nowhere to go. Hanbok dies instantly yet again, as he's knocked down to 10%, and Rahel is already dead. There's no way out. This one was an absolute crusher of a final team fight. Lion's gonna get the ace for free. Nobody even got close to dead. It felt like it was a close game for quite a while early on, but as soon as Lion won a single team fight, they just didn't stop.
And that's just how good Lion's late game macro and late game team fighting is. They always have the right setup. They're always the ones starting the fight on their terms.
As they get caught outside of their own walls and die one by one, it was just the most anticlimactic ending I think you could have imagined for that game. So let's see what changes here in game number 2. LYON has chosen blue side, Sentinels have chosen first pick, and the first ban here is one of the ones that you brought up in game number 1, being conspicuously absent.
Yeah.
They will ban away the Skarner from Hanbok.
They're going to be sad. Sentinel's going to be sad. They didn't just pick Skarner in game 1. It's what they win with so much. Hanbok Skarner's absolutely elite. Ashe Seraphine is still going to be open as well, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see an Ashe Seraphine angle from one of these teams. I was rather shocked that we didn't see it in game 1, but they had their own ideas.
We didn't get the Seraphine ban until all the way 10th ban of the entire draft. But talking about powerful bottom laners, Caitlyn is another one that we see fairly often. She's going to be banned out by LYON, while the 3 bans from Sentinels are the Nocturne, the Azir, and the Ezreal.
Yeah, LYON is learning from the book of what has Sentinels won with. And they're saying, okay, we're going to make them win with something else, because 3 wins with Skarner, 3 wins with Caitlyn. Sentinels only has 5 wins.
Okay, so these are responsible for over half.
Yeah, they're their 2 winningest champions. In fact, Rahel has 1 Ezreal win, 1 Kai'Sa win, 3 Caitlyn wins, and then lost on everything else. So currently, I like LYON's ban strategy.
Well, the numbers for Orianna there were pretty impressive. The champion has 100%, pick ban presence so far in Spring Split, and the 6 times that she's actually managed to become a pick and not just banned away, she's got a 100% win rate so far. So very high value first pick here for Sentinels.
And I think Dark Wings is going to be in his comfort zone on this pick as a control mage player, but Inspired is on Pantheon. So it's not Nocturne, which he normally plays against control mages, but it's just allowing him to put on a lot of pressure to the side lanes in the mid game, which is always what he wants to do against enemy control mages.
And it feels so good. Like, this is one of the established things that you need to win against Orianna, is you need to be able to put pressure to kill her in side lanes, because she's not an adept side laner compared to a lot of other characters. It can be a very dangerous place for her to be. Isles locking in the Bard on this one too. I've mentioned this before because I feel like we see this combination a lot, but having Pantheon and Bard both because of the semi-global ultimates, you can actually do so much. Your options are all over the place.
You cover seemingly infinite space. The map shrinks when you have these 2 champions, so it makes it even more difficult to play side lanes. Now, there will be and should be a team fighting trade-off with those 2 picks, but with how superior LYON team fighting was last game, they won't be that concerned with that fact currently.
Well, the Corki and Nami combo that has been gaining much more traction here in recent days is once more going to be locked in. Sentinels will be handing that off to Rahel and Huhi. I think that we saw a lot in the bottom lane 2v2 laning phase last time of Isles just hitting hooks over and over and over again. It honestly felt like LYON were really the ones kind of dictating the pace of that 2v2. So it's something like a Corki and Nami. I want to see Sentinels be able to fight back.
I think, though, they should be able to win lane with this combination, because they can ban out some of the power pick supports after this. So they've already banned Ezreal of the Ezreal Karma. You can pair Karma with other stuff, but I just feel like Jhin Karma and stuff isn't as powerful. And they can also ban 1/2 of the Ashe Seraphine, which I think they should do. That would still leave open like a Lulu Yunara, which most people lose with, but Berserker Isles have been really good with. But all things considered, this lane is meta. They've locked it in, and there's no lane for LYON currently locked.
Well,
the Bard's already locked as well. So.
Yeah, we got the Bard. The Jhin is going to be banned away. The Poppy banned out by LYON. I always like this when you lock a Kali already on your team and you spin one of the second bans, like getting rid of the Poppy. I feel like she's so effective. Also, Pantheon, of course, can't even use his point-and-click stun if he's in range of the Poppy. So already, that would be a lot of value for Steadfast Presence, so I respect banning that away. Lee Sin, the final ban for LYON. Interesting.
I mean, Hanbok Lee Sin, maybe they saw Jose's Lee Sin yesterday, thought maybe it's similar.
Yeah, just I don't want to deal with that.
I'm a little surprised by the way these pick and bans have gone. Ashe Seraphine being completely through, even Orianna making it through this early is surprising. Jarvan going to Hanbok in game 1 was surprising. So an update on this new patch. Like, the new patch, we're all thinking about who's going to be playing Static Shiv and how's the phase rush change going to impact things. And instead, things like Ashe Seraphine have just kind of fallen to the wayside.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how expectations differ from reality when you do have those big shakeups to the way that the game works. But LYON, I still need to see an AD carry out of them. I still need to see what I'm assuming is a top laner out of them as well. So we're going to go Sivir next to the Bard.
somewhat self-sufficient, can spell shield either a rocket or a phosphorus bomb or a Nami tidal wave that comes at him, so he'd be left in a few more 1v2 situations with the Bard, probably just looking to scale up and pick something safe.
I respect it. As Sentinels, what's the jungle pick going to be here? You're up against Inspired Pantheon. You know how strong this champion is. You know how well Inspired can play the map. So what is the response? Still, of course, need to see the top laner too, but there's plenty of these kind of evergreen blinds still available, like the Renekton, so that's what they'll lock for Impact.
And they will still be looking for Hombox jungler, giving Dokla full counter pick to the Renekton. Vayne is still there for old time's sake for Dokla, if he really wanted to, but decent chance they'll just match it with something like Gnar or Ornn, since they have no real front line. Pretty interesting scaling. Orianna Mundo is a pretty lethal scaling combo. It's not very high pressure early though.
Yeah, the big thing that I'm a little bit curious here for Sentinels is the go buttons are not great. Mundo runs at you, Renekton can stun one target, or he kind of needs somebody else to be in there to have the shockwave unless you've preset the trap.
Yeah.
So I guess Nami wave, but again, there's just none of these that make me go, okay, that's it, that's the button.
The primary engage, I think, is actually going to be Mundo flashing in with an Orianna ball.
Okay.
That's the primary engage. Los Fortones did this a lot in their few wins back in LEC Versus, but that's it. That's what they have.
Okay, primary engage on a 5-minute cooldown means when those engages happen, they need to be very effective.
Better work.
It better work, because the other side, the pick here, Dokla, with that last pick of the draft, like you already mentioned, is going to opt for the Gnar into the Renekton. And again, whenever I see Gnar in the game, I always want to see the team play well around the Gnar bar, respect the timer. That's the entirety of his participation in the team fights. Set that up for success, because that's your big button.
Especially because outside of Mega Gnar, they have very little front line. Lions is going to be trying to play the whole map here. They need to play very wide and then create numbers advantages, because as low as the engage for Sentinels is with Orianna Mundo, Renekton, Corki, Nami, their front to back, just like health and damage, is really high.
Yeah.
So if they manage to win lanes and they're first on objectives, Sentinels can still make things happen.
And that's exactly what you were talking about back at the start of the draft, right? With Bard and Pantheon, this is supposed to cost you team fight efficacy if you're going to have this map-wide range. So that's the name of the game. How well can LYON navigate their macro, play these side lanes, and position these high-threat champions correctly versus just the more ball of stats that Sentinels has?
Absolutely. And Sentinels, every series they've played has gone the distance.
Yep.
So even if last game ended bad, early game was close, and Sentinels has been able to punch back against every single opponent so far in the Spring Split.
All right. Let's see if this will continue that trend, or if LYON can become the first team to put them down with a clean 2-0. Looking across the board here, nobody's doing anything super interesting early on. You can see Ward placed down on the LYON blue buff, though, as well as the LYON Raptor camp. So Sentinels want to make sure that they can track Inspired's early movements effectively.
They absolutely do, and we can see Impact in top lane on the Renekton once again. We've talked a lot about where Impact's tanks are, but we need to point out kind of how crazy this is. Look at all the champions he's played. Look at the champions he hasn't played.
Yeah.
Ornn, Sion, Cassante. They still don't think it's time yet. They're still saving them for later. But I feel like they could have used a little bit of Ornn engage. I think they could have even blinded Ornn against this team, but they decide to just go with the Renekton.
Okay, well,
That's some trading.
Yeah, this is some aggressive level 1 trading down here in bottom side. Combat summoner spells being used by both sides. The flashes are still available for now. LYON trying to make sure they maintain control over this wave, control over this push. Sivir's so very good at it. No level 2 here just yet. There we go. Isles will be the first one to secure that one. Remember the dredge lines during the laning phase in game number 1? He really had those dialed in. He was weaving them around really well, making sure that he was hitting the shots where you kind of have to utilize the lollipop on the very end of it.
Yep.
But we'll see how well his cosmic bindings can keep up with that down here.
Isles has been doing a great job performing as the year progresses, earning more and more of Berserker's trust. And their laning, their actual 2v2 laning, even at first stand, was exceptional. So Berserker Isles really been playing well. Both bot lanes had burned the barrier and heal in the early trades just to get the wave in. And Isles buying a bunch of time here so Berserker can get back to base and probably pick up an early call. Yep, that's what he does, and he'll be back.
And I feel like this is such a glow up for Isles as well, because for a long time he was on teams that were kind of permanently in the bottom part of the standings, right?
Yep.
It's much harder to prove yourself and really pop off and show your worth in those types of situations versus being on a team that has pieces on it like Inspired and like Saint and like Berserker. So I feel like Isles has kind of really got the chance. It's like, okay, you are on like a top contender team, show us what you're made of. And he's actually showed us some pretty good stuff.
He really has. I know we're saying, okay, there's a fight for Crab. Gonna flame Dignitas real quick, but there's no need.
Hambach trying to trade with Inspired here. Has the Heartstopper turned on. Meanwhile, Impact versus Dokla up there in the top side. Impact charging up a lot of fury. Dokla getting away for now. One more auto attack is going to proc the Hyper, and Impact is the one forced to flash away. We know Hambach down to 300 HP as Inspired is at 200 himself. They managed to heal him back up a little bit further as Hambach continues to chase towards Isles, hits him with the Bone Saw. Isles jumps away onto the blast cone, keeping himself alive. The attempted flash out from Hambach, but it's not good enough. The brush was warded, so Inspired's ready to follow immediately. Now Dokla needs the kill into Darkwings. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade as flashes get exchanged back over here underneath the tier 1 turret in the mid lane for Sentinels. Saint nearly kills Huhi, but the Nami survives.
That is a big win for LYON in this skirmish. Dokla trading kills at the very end, but most importantly, look at the biggest recipient of the gold. It's Inspired. He gets the kill, he gets an assist, he gets the double crab, and he's going to be off to the races on this Pantheon.
The Pantheon damage on the Q for the execute, having the ward in the brush to guarantee he gets the kill onto Hambach. Those are the types of small things that matter the most, that can really determine the outcome of these early game skirmishes. Now Dokla's ready to crash this wave into the turret up here topside. And remember, Impact flashed in that exchange, Dokla did not. So things can only get that much more dicey for Impact here in top.
Dokla can really start bullying. The one thing that really started this play, though, was Isles being here first. So that's what was able to secure Inspire the inside track on that crab. Yes, Huhi arrived later, but Hambach was already very low. Once he took the Bard Tunnel, he's gone too far. The brush is pre-warded. That's the execute. And I think Dokla rightfully trades the 1-for-1 here. He'd already moved down into River. If he can secure the kill, it doesn't matter if it cost him his life as well, as that's just going to end up helping him and Saint.
And now that Nami also not having a flash there is going to open up more potential opportunity for plays to be made down there in the bottom lane, because Huhi, it's such a squishy champion to play. If you're not in the right position on the Nami, it's so easy to be punished. Hambach makes his way down here though. Berserker, nice spell shield there onto the Aqua Prison. Isles just goes on a magical journey. They can just walk away from this one.
It's a Mundo gank. What's he gonna do?
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, he walked at me. I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah, flashes, barriers, spell shields, heals, they're fine.
Impact committing dominance up here in the top lane, though. Recognizes that Dokla is not close to being able to transform, so wants to try to take advantage of that window. Does force Dokla back. Crashes the wave into the turret, takes the first plate. Don't want to stick around too much longer, since Dominus will draw that tower aggro if Dokla stands right next to you, so Impact's just going to walk that one off.
But still, that's good from Impact, knowing he's no flash, no TP, getting the wave in, getting a plate, trying to keep himself relevant in this game. Dokla's likely going to base, try and get those upgraded boots, and then return.
All right, let's see what Inspired's going to do here on this Pantheon. Needs just the slightest amount more experience to hit level 6 and unlock the Grand Starfall. Not going to find it here just yet. Heads back into his own jungle instead. Rahel and Huhi still kind of trapped underneath their own turret. They know that Inspired is somewhere in the neighborhood. Inspired waiting on his own red buff there now to respawn. That will be red plus level 6. I feel like this is a recipe for playmaking.
If Sentinels decide to push in a little bit too far or start this fight, Inspired would be flying in over the top. Impact is mid lane, though. He's hoping for an extended fight.
Okay, Inspired has his level 6. Hambach trying to pick up the crab. Magical Journey coming out from Isles. Rahel sidesteps the Cosmic Binding. Aqua Prison also not on the mark there to lock up Isles, so the Bard continues just walking away. Berserker blocking the rockets as they escape. Hambach secured that crab, but it wasn't enough to get him his level 6. There is a big difference between Mundo with ulti and Mundo without, so Hambach wants to make sure he catches back up to Inspired ASAP as Saint tries to keep the pressure onto Darkwings, but the hero minion intercepts the Shuriken flip.
Sentinels minion for sure. CS even in that mid wave actually, but Inspired just going to try and bide his time, and LYON is all about playing this game as wide as possible, whereas Sentinels are the ones that want to bring it together. We saw a microcosm of that just now. as Impact ran through mid lane, was hoping that there'd be a team fight where they can have 5v5, but while that was happening, Dokla was pushing top lane, and it forced everyone to spread out once again.
All right, Isles on the Bard, roaming once more as Saint jumps in after Dark Wings. Ooh, the flash binding from Isles is a big ol' whiff. Saint, not quite enough damage to kill Dark Wings there. You could see the idea is that hopefully you line the perfect execution up so when you dash back out, it can also hit the Orianna, but Dark Wings positioned himself far enough to the right that that wasn't the case, so Saint not gonna get his lethal opportunity there. Dark Wings survives and doesn't even use the flash.
I feel like Isles was trying to predict on that cue.
Yeah.
I feel like he was thinking that Darkwings was going to flash the flashing Bard to get away, and then he didn't, so it didn't connect. I'd have to see that again to be sure, but that's what I think.
It feels like a likely scenario, right? You are thinking the guy is definitely going to try to flash here. You know how dangerous it is, but unfortunately was not the way it ended up playing out. And this is also going to give Inspired the confidence to go ahead and start working on the grubs. No first dragon taken so far yet in this one. Remember that in game number 1, it was Inspired with total neutral control early on. First Drake into the grubs after. This time around, the grubs are the first priority, while Hambach is going to start up the Drake. They know that Inspired is up at the grubs. They've got Darkwings and Huhi both ready to help on this one. And Hambach's hoping to secure this before there's any response from LYON, and it looks like that'll be just the case.
Yeah, Inspired is just going back to base. He's happy with this trade. If they're trying to scale and play late game with Gnar and Sivir split pushing, the grubs will come in pretty handy for them. And they're just going to take this game slow, just like every early game that LYON takes. If the team was pushing the tempo, they're kind of seeming to do everything they can to slow it down.
And you mentioned earlier how all the money from that first fight, the big recipient was Inspired, just hit Sundered Sky before 9 minutes here in this second game. So he's going to have all the power he needs to continue trying to make moves as Isles once more going to evade the pressure here with a magical journey. Inspired, the gank over hell here in the bottom lane. That will do it. Inspired gets paid. 3-1 game here for LYON as Impact again tries to keep the pressure onto Dokla, who has reverted back to mini Gnar form. Hambach coming in from the jungle, but Dokla is already in full retreat.
Yeah, gonna try and save as many plates as he can. Will probably teleport back in, but Berserker's getting paid as well as Inspired after that gank pulled off. When 3 people showed mid and the shockwave missed from Darkwing's Orianna, that let Inspired know that he can just turret dive with impunity, and he pulled off the kill for free.
Isles trying to just continue covering up here in this top lane as Dokla will use his teleport, return back up to the top side, has the plated steel caps alongside the Phage. Over on the other side, Impact will take this opportunity for a recall of his own. No neutrals to fight for on either side of the map right now, since the grubs were taken by LYON and then Sentinels took the dragon right after. But it does mean here in about 4 minutes, we're going to have a pretty interesting map state where I'll be interested to see what the teams place the value on with the Herald and the next dragon spawning at very similar times.
Absolutely. It's probably going to depend a little bit on just how the lanes are going, which flashes are burned, because then Inspired can pick his targets to find whatever the best team fight would be. I think if you're Sentinels, you just want Drakes. You want as many Drakes as you can because you need a way to draw the other team into you since you don't have good engage, and rushing Soul as quickly as possible is what they're going to prefer.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. When that next Drake spawns here in about 3 minutes, see how much priority Sentinels place on it. Looking across the board, we're still mostly messing with components here, so even though LYON does have a 1,000 gold advantage, it really is just mostly manifesting in Inspired with that Sundered Sky. Everybody else still feels a pretty decent sense of parity with their opponent, I would have to say. So doesn't look like we're going to get any more big, exciting moves. Even up in top lane, we just see every time Impact has Dominus ready, he just pops it, gets a little bit of wave control, forces Dokla back, and then there's not a whole lot more to tell about it.
Yeah, and it's doing fine. I mean, if the junglers aren't going to go up there, may as well use your ult as much as possible to keep the gold close. The bigger thing is whether or not Saint can get a little bit fed in this game.
And that might just about be ready to happen here as Hambach invades the enemy jungle yet again. So much of this in game number 1, remember, and looking to run it back a little here in game number 2. Forces Isles away, but the Magical Journey once more guarantees the Bard's safety. Huhi trying to follow Hambach in. Darkwing's also coming around. LYON are being forced back in their own jungle because at the same time, Rahel also has things pushed up in the bottom lane, so he can rotate over. It's actually 4 Sentinels players ready to invade the enemy red buff, and Hambach's going to steal this one away.
I love it. Deny Inspired as much as you can. Darkwing's doing really well in this lane currently against the Akali. If Akali never gets kills, the Orianna ends up being fine. It's just in so many of these matchups, I'll see Akali get like 2 or 3 kills in a random dragon fight somewhere, and then the side lanes become unplayable. But current state, at least pre-Gunblade, it was really fine. Now it's going to get a little bit dicey with the Gunblade and the fact that role quest completed, so the Akali's going to side lane. But without random kills for the Akali and a bit of a snowball started, I think Darkwings is going to be generally okay.
Yeah, Darkwing's also completing his Rod of Ages just about the exact same time as that Gunblade was finished for Saint, so at least that's going to already start stacking right about on the same timer as the previous game. I think this Rod of Ages is a little bit slower than what we saw from Saints Rise in game number 1. But 60 seconds left on the clock until we get that next Drake. There's not a whole lot of attention, a whole lot of vision paid towards the bottom side river just yet. Dokla versus Impact yet again. Just the classic slap each other around. Nobody's actually in any real danger. Okay, we disengage. But there are some potential outside actors ready to get involved. Both supports also in the top side river battling over vision right now. And the fact that the supports are battling over vision, look at the difference in the vision in the 2 parts of the river. The bottom side river has 1 red ward in it. The top side river has so many more resources invested in and around that area.
This makes me think that LYON's not going to be playing for the Drake that's up in 22 seconds.
Yeah,
they have 5 wards on the top side. They're probably conceding this and going for something top.
That would be my guess as well, because generally we're not going to waste 500 gold's worth of wards to control an area.
Crazy.
We're not going to. Yeah, there's so much vision up there from the Lion side. They are up 1,500 gold as a team, but Isles and Inspired are down here in the bottom side jungle. Hambach's going to go ahead and start up the dragon with the infected bone saw.
They're still thinking about it. They got the people here. They're going to try and retake this vision, it seems like.
Inspired and Isles looking around. Rahel and Huhi want to get as much damage onto Berserker as they can. Rahel with the Valk away as Inspired wants to go in for the big engage, but now he's got to be careful. Hambach here in the front line with a Heartstopper. Isles continues running, but your magical journey is very short. That's 1 kill over to Sentinels. Hambach's going to take it. LYON getting a little bit over-eager to try to make that play. You saw Inspired go for the flash stun onto Rahel, but Rahel's reaction was good enough to reactively Valk away, and it made it so they couldn't full commit onto the Corki. Sentinels are going to win the fight. That's going to earn them their second Drake.
And we know in even-numbered fights, Sentinels has more health and damage, and if you engage for them, they're happy about that because the fight begins and they can just walk you down. So Hambach going to become a problem on this Mundo if he gets more fights like that, and if LYON's not able to attack the side lanes.
Saint trying to clear out the waves around the tier 1 turret here in bottom side. Nice shockwave there, pulls him right back out of his dash, so Dark Wings chunks him low. Hambach and Huhi still thinking about making their way forward to try to finish this off. Bonesaw connects. Saint trying to make enough distance to get away here, but no, it's Hambach making the play yet again as Impact has to try to escape here from the top side. Tempered Fate pauses the turret for quite a while. Dokla still on the chase now too. Impact trying to walk it away, but no, Dokla gets the last auto attack. Impact falls. LYON at least gets something back there on the top side.
Inspired ults in for emotional support. Now they're probably going to get the Rift Herald started up as well. But Teleport coming back quickly for Sentinels with Orianna joining the turret. So LYON trying to make some cross-map plays happen, but Sentinels making a lot of good happen with the Mundo and the Drake stack.
And this is kind of like what we were talking about in game number 1, where Sentinels, they're making moves across the map. They have plans that they're trying to purposefully execute. It's not just LYON determining everything, but really just so much of it is going to come down. Nice interrupt there on the recall, cancel for Berserker. It's just going to come down so much to what these team fights look like. Can LYON manage to out-team fight that ball of stats that you're talking about? Because the task is going to be tough. Once more, though, it's time to battle over vision
a lot of people
in the topside river. Isles, magical journey back to the safety of the tier 1. Wards from both supports onto the Phaelite.
Yeah, and it's no surprise that Sentinels is playing LYON tight, even though it's 3-1 versus 1-3, because if we look at what Sentinels has actually played so far this year, they've gone to 3 games against everyone, and they've played good competition. The last 3 weeks, C9, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, now LYON. After this week, it will get easier for them in their quest to make playoffs, but very interesting as this Rift Herald has started up.
Hambach chunked down to 1/3 HP, but he is Dr. Mundo. Inspired, caught in the Aqua Prison, and both junglers are out of the picture, but a 2-man shockwave arrives from Dark Wings. Saint trying to hide in the smoke still, dives towards the back line, but he can't kill Huhi yet again. Rahel gets one back as he now has to scrap with Berserker on the left side of the fight, though Dokla being forced away by Impact. Dark Wings staying alive for now as Berserker finally kills Rahel, but Impact can't catch up to Dokla. It's a bloodbath in the topside river.
Looks like a 2-for-2 with Berserker getting a kill over on the side by flashing in for it, but the Mundo continues to be a factor. Inspired's early lead is kind of evaporating, and the Akali for Saint isn't having the same influence that he had on Rise. So watching the way this one started one more time, it's Sentinels. This is how all their fights kind of have to look. They have to start the objective, and they have to fight when LYON enters. So Humbug not having level 11 was big there. Shockwave landed onto 2 up on the top side. And then Saint just can't get the execute onto Huhi. Gets finished off. But then Berserker able to flash on the side over here as Darkwings and Impact try and chase down Dokla.
And honestly, Huhi and Dokla are both kind of lucky to get away and live there because they were both at a couple hundred HP. That mid lane tier 1 turret also not looking super hot for Sentinels right now. 18 minutes into the game, we still have no turrets taken from either side.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be an anomaly. That doesn't sound right.
I mean, it sounds like it's going Sentinels' way. They want this game to go late. They want the Orianna and the Mundo to scale up. LYON will have Berserker insurance. You always have some level of Berserker insurance when he's on a hyper carry. He can always carry a game if he gets 5 or 6 items, but because it just shortens the lanes, so the ganks aren't as threatening.
Still only that 1,000 gold lead, not even that much. Completions because we are a bit further into the game now. You can see Berserker with the Infinity Edge completed as Rahel also nearly has his Muramana fully evolved.
He does, so he's going to be trying to keep up with Berserker as well as possible. Second item completed for Darkwings with the Proto Belt as well. And I do want to call out, I know we talked a lot about Jose Dioto and his quest for MVP. I think Inspired is actually there as well. So last weekend, he didn't die. He had 11 kills. He was soloing the solo laners in Game 1. He didn't die in Game 1 of this series. He's died once in the last 4 games. He's still the defending champion. He's still a shot caller. He still finds the right setup in almost all situations. He's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
Again, it looks like they're in a tough situation. We'll see if LYON teamfighting can prevail once again.
All right, 10 seconds until the Earth Drake spawns. If Sentinels secure this, it's Soul Point. It's exactly what they want. Like you were talking about earlier, something that LYON will be forced to answer for the rest of the game on a 5-minute timer. Sentinels control the river for now. Hambach trying to land as many bone saws as he can.
Look at Saint. Look at this flank.
Ooh, he is deep behind enemy
Yes,
lines.
he is.
If he can manage to get the angle there, that is a prime angle to make something happen. Meanwhile, though, Dokla off on the left side has to be careful as Rahel valks forward with Huhi right behind him, puts a little chunk of damage into the Gnar while he is in that vulnerable mini form. Isles and Saint both going to approach from the side. They want to go after Darkwings as Inspired flies in, but again, the counter engage is there. Hambach trying to deal with Inspired as Saint wants to complete the execution onto Darkwings. Dokla coming up right behind him. Inspired is already down, but LYON have found themselves a double kill for Saint. With Rahel out of the picture, can they find more? Dokla's still trying to get away, but Hambach's on the chase. Flash forward for the execute with the auto attack as Isles has to try to escape from Impact, but no! The hungry crocodile is ready for his lunch, and Berserker and Saint are the only 2 left standing on the LYON side. It's a 3-for-2 trade, and Sentinels retain control of the Dragon Pit. Impact wants even more. He lands the Ruthless Predator onto Saint, but he misses the kill by 100 damage.
But it looks like the Mundo is going to be able to secure Sentinel's Soul Point for Mountain Soul as soon as he finishes off the last 2,000 health on this Drake. Really crazy fight and flank by LYON. They completely sold out to kill Darkwings here. Pantheon all flies in. Saint goes on his magical journey around everyone. Doesn't even reach, so the Bardald has to get him there, and then he kills Darkwings. I kind of blame Rahel a little bit for being right next to Darkwings after all of that, because they sent everything on Darkwings and still managed to kill Saint. So I think the fight could have gone even better for Sentinels if their carries had spread out a little bit more, because they ended up, if you're trying to run through like Mundo, Orianna, Mundo, it's tough.
Nice.
Agreed. Yep. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty nice.
That was pretty nice. Our game is still almost even in terms of gold, but now Sentinels are the ones who do have the slightest of leads. And remember back to game number 1, it was Sentinels that were marginally ahead for a good long while, but then once LYON took the lead, they just kept it for the rest of the game, right? So now that Sentinels have a slight lead, they have Soul Point, I really feel like this next Dragon needs to be sold. Like, they can't afford a blunder around it and have to wait 5 more minutes to hit that power spike. Impact and Hambach thinking about just trying to force down the tier 1 turret, but LYON's ready to respond with droves here as Huhi sends out the tidal wave and hits 3 with it. Hambach's got to be careful as the burst comes in. Berserker's about to kill him. Saint is down, but traded away for Hambach. A 1-for-1 trade as all 5 players from both teams flock to the tier 1.
Berserker getting pretty strong, pretty crazy fight over the third turret of the game. So that's all tier 1s down for LYON now. Hambach, surprisingly squishy against Berserker Sivir, who's really packing a punch so far.
Yeah, that Infinity Edge being done just makes this guy hurt so much. When you look at Hambach, yeah, he's got a lot of health.
Yeah.
But the only armor is plated steel caps and Deadmans. Everything else is heart steel, and then the components you could see, they're grayed out right now, but it's a Kindle Gem and a Ruby Crystal. So he's a big, giant sponge, and sponges are soft. And Berserker is doing a good job punching through that sponge of HP that is Hambach. But again, I think like the past many team fights, we've kind of seen both junglers be the focus at the very start because Inspired has to fly into it to focus an enemy carry. Hambach then is the one on Inspired bodyguard duty to throw him out of the club. Inspired has been thrown out of the club twice.
He has.
The past couple of fights, the Pantheon has not been able to accomplish his goal, and I feel like that then means Hambach did accomplish his, since he's the one keeping his carries safe. There is only one individual gold lead on LYON right now. It is Berserker, though. He is almost 2,000 gold ahead of the enemy AD carry. If you're LYON, that's the win con.
He's absolutely the win con. It's not Saint. Saint had an amazing game 1 on Rise. Hasn't really been able to get much done on the Akali. Now, that being said, Akali into Mundo, Renekton, and Orianna, if you don't have the ability to attack the Orianna in side lanes, is kind of a tough game to play.
Yeah.
But Sentinels have done a good job just picking the right fights because we know they have such limited engage, and they have just pushed their waves, been in position first to these objectives, and they've kind of forced LYON to come contest them, and it hasn't worked out for LYON with Soul Point being here already for Sentinels.
Yeah, less than 2 minutes until that spawns. Like I already said before our tier 1 bloodbath up here, I think that this is going to be so important for Sentinels to secure it here and not 5 minutes from now, not losing out on this one. They've already executed twice on being able to win these team fights, earn themselves the Drakes. They're going to have to make it that 3rd time for the charm, though, as Hambach and Impact, the big, beefy front line here for Sentinels. Impact with that Spear of Shojin, so this isn't like the Sterix Gauge type of itemization that allows you more survivability in team fights, but if Impact does have target access, it guarantees a lot of extra damage.
It does mean that they're thinking about going for Dokla, who's all alone.
Yeah, Dokla is pretty far pushed
Also
up,
not
tries
Dokla's
to hop
turret.
away. Yeah, Dokla's underneath the enemy turret. Impact has to pop the Dominus to make sure that he doesn't die 1-for-1 there, but they get their kill onto Dokla.
Not a huge loss in the overall map. It sent 4 people up there. It looks like Saint's going to be able to kill the bot turret. Mid turret's on 1 plate, so maybe that's pretty close as well. I think that's just nice little entertainment before the eventual soul fight.
Just a little, it's a filler episode.
Yeah.
The soul fight's the next major plot point. But
Although, the timer's 30 seconds until Drake, 25 seconds until Dokla, and it looks like his TP's still on cooldown, so it's actually kind of bad.
yeah, the teleport
bad.
is not going to be available.
No.
He's going to spawn very slightly before it, but it takes longer than 5 seconds to run from the fountain to the dragon.
Just please, this dragon is all it matters, okay, guys? All it matters. And then all about fights. We need...
Well,
Yep.
I feel vindicated now that Huhi agrees with me and my
Yep.
point about this dragon, it's so important. That seems to be the notion here for Sentinels as they establish some of their vision control towards the entrance of the enemy red side jungle.
Dokla is going to make it back. They just don't have good vision at the start, so the dragon is the tool to get them into the fight. They have to watch out for the Akali TP.
Yeah, and there's that flank like we're talking about. Saint once again looking for the pincer attack, but they found him. He's been spotted out. Hambach trying to move in from the right side. Lines are all over the place in this one. LYON trying to regroup, reestablish those battle lines in a safer way. Saint's flank is spoiled. That's pretty big here for Sentinels.
Hanbok's got to retake the space. Isles gets engaged on by Renekton. Here's the fight.
Yep, there's your Ruthless Predator trying to lock him up. Berserker gets away for now, firing back into Impact as Inspired, looking for the chance to jump on in. Now it's Sentinels who have to reorganize their battle lines. Darkwings knocked down to half HP. On the Hunt was used from the Sivir. Grand Starfall used from the Pantheon. All ultis still available on the Sentinel side.
It is just an eye contact fight right now, and Sentinels has reestablished themselves, but a TP from Impact is very risky.
Yeah, he TP's in, but he immediately flashes out of the Mega Gnar, so now Dokla doesn't have that ultimate to use in the upcoming team fight. Saint is still looking for this potential flank, as Inspired at 40% HP stays right next to Berserker. Hanbok continues trying to zone them away with the infected bone saws, as Dokla reverts back into the midi form now. Saint forced to pop the smoke. Sentinel still staying on top of the Drake, but no DPS being put into it. They're solely focused on the fight. You heard who he talking about it in the comms. Inspired's now your target. He throws up the shield to stay alive for now, but it's another nice tidal wave coming out from Huhi. Rahel is down. Saint found the execution, but Saint dies in trade. Dokla and Berserker still looking to get a little bit more damage in as Sentinel's health bars crumble. LYON find their angle. Darkwings goes golden, but he's only a trophy for Dokla. The shutdown on the Orianna. Sentinels, this long dance outside of the Dragon Soul doesn't go their way. Now Hanbok and Impact try to run away into the enemy jungle. They're not going to go very far, though. It's a shutdown for Dokla. It's an ace for LYON.
LYON team fighting is just different. Isles with the perfect flash stun onto Rahel, gets them to kill the Corki before Rahel can really do damage, and most importantly, Berserker just gets to hit.
I have to fight now.
Yeah, we should fight, guys. Just
We are
come.
fighting.
I'm looking. Corki. Yeah, I can one-shot him.
Mundo has no passive.
Look him. Fine, guys.
No W Renekton, Mundo no flash. Looks fine.
Look.
Ult in the back
Front, go front. No flash. Come. Orianna has flash, guys. I'm looking Orianna, yeah. I got him. Don't hit.
Renekton
Take that,
no E yet.
Just fight.
Portal in 3. I'm walking.
Calm down. No flash on Mundo.
My ulti 3 seconds.
I think Renekton flashed into.
I will just tank, okay? Go.
No flash on
Go.
Mundo.
Look, Lantern.
No
Nice.
flash on Mundo.
Mundo. Nice. Let's get Drake.
Really love the comms there, both from Inspired and from Isles. Inspired dead, telling them not to do Drake, continue the fight, and then Isles with the confidence at the very end to pick up those last 2 kills.
And I love the fact that you call out it's Isles Cosmic Binding under Rahel's Corki.
Oh my gosh.
Holy
That was just that was the last fight.
Yeah, 13K in one fight. So you remember what I was talking about with sponges?
Spongy Mundo.
Yeah. That Mundo is
Wait a minute.
sponged. The damage from Berserker is just absolutely next level now. He has his Mortal Reminder fully completed. Total damage this game, he is 7,000 ahead of the next closest competitor, which is actually his own top laner. It's not even Saint.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost all of it was from that fight. So his Sivir, 11-4. He does win a lot of games, but it's every hyper carry I feel like Berserker just has some insane stats on.
I mean, we remember when he first joined the league back in the day on Cloud9, it was the very scary Zeri hyper carry meta where it's just a pentakill every single game, and that just became synonymous with him in my mind. But LYON have now taken a huge control over the momentum in this game. 4,000 gold ahead. You've stopped the soul for Sentinels. This is now where we put Sentinels' tenacity to the test, because things are rough. They have got to try to stabilize themselves after that. That was the biggest swing in the game thus far that has resulted in the biggest difference in power thus far.
It really has, and just like that, a 4,000 gold lead for LYON. Like, what is this, man?
Just materialized.
Okay, don't count Sentinels out, Flowers. Every single series they've played this year, they've gone to split. They've gone to 3 games. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look great right now, but trust the process.
Yeah, what we were talking about earlier, their previous games that looked like they were guaranteed losses, that one against Cloud9 that was a 7,000 gold deficit or something at the time. 7's more than 4. If you can win that one, you can win this one.
4,000 gold in 31 minutes, that's like nothing.
Yeah,
that's nothing. That's
might
like
as well not even exist. Don't worry about that.
It's all on Sivir,
yeah,
which I think is worse than it just being 3,000 general gold.
But that means if you kill Sivir, it's all gone.
And it's all gone.
It's all gone. All you got to do is kill the Fed Sivir that hasn't died once yet this game.
That has Spell Shield, Barrier, and Flash.
And Knight's Vow from Bard.
But if you catch him off guard with the Mundo flashing an Orianna ball, you've got a chance.
Okay. That's the name of the game then.
Yeah.
Isles trying to clear out some of the vision here in the Baron pit. Still 2 minutes until that next dragon spawns, so attention will be more around this top side river for now. Big item purchases being completed though. You've got the Randuin's Omen next to the Sterix Gauge there for Doklas, very durable now on the Gnar. Guardian Angel completed for Inspired. Arm Guard Unbroken ready for Saint. I already mentioned the Knight's Vow on Isles, so a lot of clutch items available now on the side of LYON. As Berserker, I mean, he takes a chunk of damage, but he's not in any true
They got his
lethal
R.
danger.
That's something. Got to chip away at him, land some jabs, so no crazy move speed.
But he is level 17 now, so ultimate cooldowns, they aren't particularly long. And we still have 70 seconds until the Soul Dragon will spawn. So for LYON, you just pump the brakes a little bit, wait for that to come back. And it shouldn't be that big of an issue. Or maybe you just do the opposite. Catch them off guard, go for the Baron yourself.
A little surprising here that they're starting up the Baron because I feel like Hambach would be able to walk in. It's on a Mega Gnar timing, so they're trying to get something out of it.
Okay, Dokla ready to transform at any moment. Berserker does a lot of damage to this objective. Impact tries to get away, escapes the Tempered Fate, so that's one ulti down on the LYON side. 5,000 HP remaining on the Baron as Sentinels are ready to step up. Hambach's still only level 15, so he doesn't have the major power spike from the 3rd level ultimate upgrade. Dokla reverts back to Mini-Gnar form, so with the Bard ult missing, Dokla reverted back to Mini-Gnar. It feels like the LYON plan has kind of just been foiled here, but still sticking around as their recalls are interrupted.
That was crazy by Hambach right there. It's 18 seconds until Soul, so Sentinels is going to very easily have position on the spawn of this Drake, but they're now the ones running into clear more vision away from Baron. This Drake is all that matters, like who he said for the last one.
Yeah, Isles face checks the brush here. Impact is waiting on him, but it's only Impact, so it's not like there's any real threat onto Isles. He will be forced back, however, and that's exactly what you're saying. Sentinels now has total control over the bot side river. They're just going to start the objective.
But they're not dumping all their damage onto it yet. They're hoping to do damage to LYON when LYON flies in.
Yep, Dokla still in mini form, but Inspired drops in with a Grand Starfall, finds its way into the back line, goes after Huhi, but he can't quite kill him. Isles also getting away in a magical journey over the wall. Inspired still low, but he's still fighting. Dark Wings dies first. Saint trying to assassinate Huhi yet again, stays alive in the stasis, and it buys him all the time he needs. A double kill for Berserker, as Impact can't even kill Isles. Hambach's the only one still standing. And that is a disaster fight for Sentinels. It's a 4-0 for LYON.
LYON might be trying to end the game off of this one. They double TP into the top lane to at least maximize the gold that they're going to be getting. They haven't actually killed the Drake yet, so with this investment, they might be looking to end here.
Yeah, this is the full send call from LYON. 5-man push, barreling down the top lane. Only Hambach on the Mundo still standing to maybe be able to stop them. 5 seconds left on Huhi respawning on the Nami. 10 seconds on Dark Wings, 15 on Rahel. LYON make their way onto the first Nexus turret. They burn it down. Huhi and Hambach trying to buy enough time for everybody else to come back. Tempered Fate onto Dark Wings back in the fountain as Huhi dies to Saint. LYON, they've made their way onto the Nexus now. They've got it down to 1/3 HP, but the Shockwave kills them! The clutch hold from Sentinels at the very edge.
They didn't hear no bellflowers. That's a huge shockwave from Dark Wings. He just one-shots the carries, and Soul is still up.
The Soul is up. Everybody in a LYON jersey is dead. The Baron is up. You can get both super buffs back to back.
That is an incredible hold by Sentinels. Just when you thought LYON was going to secure the clean sweep, they stay in the game. So objective bounties aren't up, but they get all the champion bounties, and they have so much time, they're easily going to be able to just collect. Then they'll be able to reset again, but probably they need to stick in their base because their Nexus is completely exposed.
The Nexus is exposed at 25% HP, so if you just have like Pantheon ult in, drop a ward, and then teleport Dokla and Saint on top of him, they can just burst your Nexus down. It is kind of dangerous stuff, but this is what we're talking about. He didn't hear no bell. The gold difference of 6,000 or whatever it was, it doesn't matter.
Oh my God. So, I mean, it was 9,000. I need to find the moment they landed that shockwave in this game. All but over, it felt like.
That is absolutely crazy. But
what?
They still have to protect Nexus.
Yeah, 7,500 gold, they were down. Now they're only down 3,000 gold, but they have the Soul, which is thousands of golds of stats. Rahel got a bunch of gold off of that one. They're nearly going to have death cap on their Orianna. They've hit the level 16 spike on Mundo. All those power spikes that they weren't quite on this entire time, they just slingshot back to hitting them with that hold.
What an absolutely crazy sequence. That was so close. And now Sentinels feel like they've been given a second chance. The Nexus still rapidly regenerating its HP. It's climbed back up to about 2/3 now, so at least they can't kill it in 2 auto attacks.
Yeah.
But you're still pretty afraid of it being in trouble until you get the inhibitor back.
Yeah,
right?
just chill.
Let's protect it a little bit.
Big adrenaline spike. Everyone just hold on. They have death cap on the Orianna now. They're level 17 on Mundo. They'll be hitting level 20 on the 2 soul laners.
Yep.
Berserker's still going to be a problem. He's a very big problem. But with Mountain Soul, it's a little harder to cut through people. They all have the overshield and the extra armor and MR.
Rahel also with his Infinity Edge on the Corki has the last Whisper too to punch through this front line of Dokla and Inspired. It's trying to knock that Corki out ASAP. LYON setting up positions here in enemy jungle. Inspired just stealing away some Kruggies. Both top laners about to hit level 20.
Unless something crazy happens, we're really on long cooldown here because the team with Baron can't leave their base. And because they took Drake and Baron at the same time, those objective timers are super long.
Yeah, there's nothing on the map.
So let's look at some stats.
Okay, what do you got?
Berserker, 40,000 damage so far in this game. Hambach, surprisingly, 32,000 damage. Let's check the gold. Why not?
Okay, sure. Let's see what we got here. Total gold, 20,000. Rahel only 1,000 behind now.
Yeah.
On the Corki.
That's the huge amount of bounties that he collected on that. He was honestly kind of useless in most of these fights. Because if I look back to the amount of damage that he was actually doing, yeah, 18,000. He's the least damage on his team other than the support.
Yeah, he's certainly not at the spot he would like to be in.
If he gets to enter the game, that's going to be big for Sentinels.
10 seconds left on the Baron, though. Only plus 200, 300 gold on the Red Bull power play like you were talking about. It's just kind of the nature of the game when you get Baron, but you have to be stuck in your own base.
Yeah.
I feel like we went from a game that felt like a lion stomp to just being on a knife's edge.
Dude, it's 36 kills in 39 minutes. It became just a turbo banger off of that one hold.
Yeah. Credit to Dark Wings for the shockwave that saved the game, but the job's not done yet. If Sentinels wants to keep this going to a game 3, they're still going to have to find their way through some Lion defenses that still have tier 2 turrets in 2 of the 3 lanes. Sentinels at least having enough confidence to move back out through their own jungle now, as their Nexus turrets have at least respawned, so it's not like the Nexus itself is completely vulnerable. You can see 5 seconds left on that top lane inhibitor that I was talking about. You really want that to be restored so that you don't have to have the extra minion pressure. All right,
inhibitor's back.
Sentinel's base, it's
a little
healed.
bit of safety. Maybe they kill Isles here as they're moving in. So production wasn't running the replay because they were afraid, like, running the replay into some Nexus backdoor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I told them now is probably safe to run the replay, so if the game ends during the replay, you can blame me.
Okay.
I apologize. I really want to see it again.
But it's still 2 minutes until the next fight.
Exactly. So I don't think,
unless
someone makes a big mistake, we're safe to see the replay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I agree with Jet. Let's see it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So, Hambach, the Bard ult stops the Orianna. Hambach is just mauling Inspired. But it's really, to me, it was all about the shockwave. Let's see what Rahel does down on the bot side. He kills Dokla, kills Inspired, and then Dark Wings. God, catch Saint and Berserker in the shockwave. That's it. If he only catches one, they have so much AD.
Here.
Nice.
Wait, I think...
Man, I think it's not over.
Yeah,
Inspired.
we're still alive.
Something.
All right, now it's time to start having things get tense again, because like you pointed out earlier, the buffs taken at the same time means they respawn at the same time.
Yes.
So Baron and Elder are both going to spawn just about 60 seconds from now, and these types of situations can become so nerve-wracking as the teams dance back and forth and try to decide where are we actually going to pressure, where are we going to try to juke them out and make them think that we're focusing on. It's this is where that macro level shot calling just decides the game.
It really does. I'd say one small call out that we haven't given much credit to is Dokla's Gnar in these fights. He seems to always be hitting Mega. He's a big part of the dive that's been killing Rahel and pushing him out of fights. So that's been very effective. But Berserker, Guardian Angel completed, Hex Drinker on the side of Rahel. Both AD carries approaching max items. Berserker's there, Rahel almost, and Sentinels set up on the Elder side currently.
Double Guardian Angels for the Lion side. You've got Stasis for the Akali. You've got the Sterix on the Gnar. So many defensive tools on the other side. Also, the Sterix for Impact, the Stasis for Dark Wings. But the critical difference here is no Guardian Angel on Rahel. If he gets stunned at the start of a fight again, if he dies instantly, that's just the whole game right there. But it looks like Sentinels have decided the buff that they care more about between the two is the Elder. Typically, if you get this one first, you're just so much stronger in combat. You can force your opponents away from the Baron. Isles going on a magical journey, trying to get all the way away. Tempered Fate defensively gets enough space for now, will escape. But that's one of their big potential pick/engage tools no longer available.
Totally worth it. They don't burn much for that. They get the heal, the Bard ult, and they really push him out of the fight. Lion playing the long game, though. Dokla just looks like he took red buff right now. So they're really trying to spread out.
Saint being marked by Impact on the right side of the fight.
He popped Mega on that red buff.
Okay, Dokla goes for his recall. Dokla bars Guardian Angel. There are 3 Guardian Angels on Lion. This team is ready for one fight to decide the entirety of the game. The Elder begun by Sentinels, but DPS is going pretty slowly. Inspired ult in here with the Grand Starfall, who he has to try to flash away, but the Nami dies immediately at the start of the fight. Saint finds his angle over the wall, and the carries from Sentinels are cut to ribbons. Berserker gets the kill on Dark Wings, and yet again, Sentinels kill everybody except for Dr. Mundo. Lion are taking these guys down 2-0 style. It was dicey there at that first Nexus push, but there's no way for Sentinels to stay standing on this one. The timers are simply too long. The Lion team fighting is simply too good. They call their shot, and it's a home run. Lion sweep Sentinels 2-0.
What a gorgeous team fight to end the game. That was against Mountain Soul, late game Corki, Oriana Mundo.